Welcome to today's Facebook Live over at Spiritual Events Directory. I am Radhika. I am the founding director of Radiance Holistic Wellness. And before we begin today's live, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Sarah Watkins of Spiritual Events Directory for this wonderful opportunity to share my knowledge and the information that I want to share with you on this fabulous platform, because Facebook Live is the thing of the day. Everyone is doing Facebook Lives, and it is an extremely effective platform of sharing the information or the wisdom that we have or the knowledge that we have. And Spiritual Events Directories, hi Sarah. Spiritual Events Directories lives are getting popular by the day. I've seen that myself. I follow and watch all the lives so far. And so I really want to thank Sarah for giving me this opportunity and offering me this platform to share my knowledge with all of you. So having said that, let's begin with what we are here to talk about today. And as you might note, I have titled this Facebook Live as How You Create Your Reality Explained. Now, to begin with, I would like to share really quickly my own story of healing with you all, because I always feel that when we share our our human journey with others, it makes us more relatable. And especially because I am going to be talking about the science aspect of it, I want you to know where I'm coming from or what gives me any kind of authority or authenticity to talk about the science stuff. And hi Leanne, good evening. So while I share with you my story, I would like you to do something. Quickly grab a pen and a paper, because later on this live is not going to be something where you just sit and listen to me. Hi Demis, I'm good, thanks. You're going to just sit and listen to me. I am actually going to have you guys do a small exercise or two, and so it's going to be an interactive live, and I would love to see your comments, your opinions or experience once we do those little exercises during this live. So hi everyone, I can see all the comments coming in, and that's really wonderful. I can't keep saying hi to everybody, but really thank you for joining me here, and thank you for all those who are sharing the video as well, this live feed. So while I share my story with you guys, just quickly grab a pen and a paper. If you can, grab like an A4 size or a notebook which gives you like 2 front pages, that is good. If not, then any pen and paper can do. And another thing I want you to have is either if you have a handheld mirror, or like the small pocket mirror that ladies carry in their purse, or if you have like a mirror in front of you, that would be good, because there is going to be one exercise where you actually need to look in the mirror. And if not, then all of our smartphones these days have selfie cams, so thanks to the technology. So if you can't find a mirror, that's fine, but definitely grab a pen and a paper. And so while you do that, I will begin with sharing with you my story real quick. So until I was 28 years old, my life went like any normal life, or a good life that anybody could ask for. I had great supportive parents. I was born in a family which was financially fairly well to do, like good education. I was good at academics, so I was like popular with everybody in school and with my parents, etc. Hi Emma. So everything was going good. And then at 28 years of age, just prior to that, I started dating the first boyfriend that I ever had. And eventually I decided that I wanted to get married with him. So I did. And of course, through my journey of dating him, I had already sort of, when your inner guidance tells you that you're not on the right path, or this is not the right thing to do, but you ignore it, like all of us have been there, right? We all do that. So I kept ignoring, even though I knew that this wasn't the person for me. And eventually, I even took the step to marry the guy. And soon after I got married, I realized that I had really, really made a big mistake. So, and thankfully, I realized that very quickly. So I did not suffer much of, bad marital relationship, because I took the decision to separate and divorce really quickly. And but that procedure, because of the legal nature of it, was going to take more than a year to actually the whole thing to happen for me to get divorced. And while I was while this was happening on the personal side of life, I was actually working as a scientist, because I had already done my doctorate in chemistry, and I was working as a scientist with the Australian government. And so that job was going on, and this was happening in my personal life. And when this happened, unfortunately, also on the professional front, I started having some clashes with my then boss. So that stress started cropping up, and eventually I ended up leaving that job. But what happened during that 1.5 year of stress from both personal as well as professional fronts of my life really went through like an upheaval of sorts, because everything around me was, or my belief system was crumbling, and I didn't know. Like, I had been the good girl and the good student and everything, and what happened suddenly, why everything was going wrong. And of course, soon enough, that stress resulted. Thank you for all the hearts, by the way, guys. It's always good to see the hearts floating on the screen. So with all that stress, I started to suffer from an autoimmune condition. And it turned out to be, because autoimmune conditions can be of different types, or are of different types. Like, there's arthritis, there's multiple sclerosis, there are a few others. So the one that I started suffering from was actually a skin condition called pemphigus. And what that did was, that basically is a malfunction of a protein in your body, where literally this protein that keeps our skin together, like you can see, like my skin is whole, right? That protein starts malfunctioning. And so what happened is, I started having lesions and wounds all over my body. And when that happened, I of course went to the doctors, and they diagnosed that this is what I was suffering from. It was an autoimmune condition, and they gave me steroids, because that is all you can do in such a condition, because you need to suppress your immune system. So they gave me steroids, and the steroids, of course, did help heal my physical symptoms of the autoimmune condition. But the doctor told me, and any of you, if you unfortunately suffer from any kind of autoimmune, you would know that once you have that that kind of an ailment, you basically live with it. And that is what my doctors told me, that you've had this, you are going to you are going to have relapses of this for pretty much the rest of your life. And every time you are under any kind of stress, you are bound to have a relapse, and all you can do is take the steroids, and you just keep doing that. And I was 29 years of age at that time, so that's not a very nice diagnosis to have at that age, that the rest of my life I'm going to be having this wounded body of mine. And when in fact the wounds did heal, they left me with really dark black marks all over my body. So it wasn't a pretty picture, to say the least. And so I got very upset and very depressed at this diagnosis, that this was going to go on forever now. However, during that time, one of my aunts gave my mom a book to give to me, because she said, I think Radhika would do well reading this book. It would help her in the condition that she is right now. So, and that book, so taking a step back, I had started sort of like, when all this, the divorce and the fallout with the boss and everything happened, I had sort of started to read a little bit of what you can call self-help or spiritual literature. Like I had started reading Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now. I had watched What the Bleep, which is the science end of it, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But the book that my aunt gave me once I started suffering from the autoimmune and once I was getting treated was a book called You Can Heal Your Life by a lady called Louise Hay. And I had no idea who Louise Hay was. I had never heard of her, nothing. So I was like, okay, I'll read this because I anyways love reading books. So I started reading that book of Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And as soon as I started reading it, it felt as if the book was literally written for me. Everything in it, every single word resonated. It was like this lady was explaining my life to me and how it had progressed so far to me in that book. And some of it had been explained to me through the documentary What's the Bleep Do We Know, especially the science part of it. But what this book did for me, You Can Heal Your Life, is it gave me, like Louise Hay gives these really doable exercises that you can really feel like doing and you can do, because many times many spiritual concepts sound really nice, but then when it comes to practicing them, many people feel like, oh my god, this is not for me. But her exercises and her chapters in the book and everything was structured in such a way that it gave me the motivation that no, I can do this, and it gave me the empowered feeling of yes, I can actually do something to change my life and heal myself. And when I started doing that, doing those exercises and following everything, and then I started watching even more like videos of Louise Hay, etc. And eventually I did heal, like the steroids did heal my physical autoimmune condition, but I like to say that the work I did with Heal Your Life helped me heal the autoimmune condition of my mind. Now what does that mean? I was a very extremely self-conscious and self-critical person before this time in my life. I hated my body. I have always been slightly overweight, so I absolutely hated the way my body looked. I was extremely conscious of what people would think of me. I didn't think I was ever going to be loved by anybody, etc., etc. That sort of self-attacking psychology. And what Louise helped me do is actually once I had healed my my autoimmune condition on the physical level since 2010, now it's 2017, I've never had relapses. I'm really happy to report that. And have I not been in stressful situations? Of course I have been. Life always has some kind of stress or some kind of situations that we get stressed about. It's a choice that we make. So and I know from within the reason why I haven't had relapses. Hi Jan. Haven't had relapses is because of this Heal Your Life work that I did. So steroids would have been a short-term solution for the autoimmune condition, and of course modern medicine does play its role in making us physically better, but then that is only a piece of a puzzle, I would say, and the bigger picture needs us to do work on the emotional and psychological and energetic level as well. So when I could do that to myself, when I healed myself of a condition which was prognosed to be repeated, which did not happen any further, I decided that I wanted to share this knowledge with the rest of the world, or as many people as I could. So I did my certification as a Heal Your Life workshop facilitator, and I also started Radiance Holistic Wellness in 2012, and that is what I have been doing since then. So not a scientist anymore, although I absolutely love science and what it's doing for the humankind if we decide to use it wisely. But now I'm a holistic wellness professional. So I wanted to share that so that you know when I talk about the science stuff, like where is that coming from or where am I coming from. So that was my story in short. And so after I became the Heal Your Life workshop facilitator, whenever I talk to people, when I ask them, have you heard of Louise Hay? Many of them say, yes, we have. They have heard of the affirmations, etc. Most of the people have the book You Can Heal Your Life with them, but 9 out of 10 people have not bothered to actually do anything with such an empowering book being in their presence. And the reason why I feel that happens is because, unfortunately, us humans today have been programmed to believe that the power is outside of us, and even if there is some kind of healing that needs to happen, then somebody outside of us is going to heal us, and we really are, we really don't have any power to do that ourselves. And the emphasis of Heal Your Life concepts and philosophy is very much on, as the title of the book says, you can heal your life. So the emphasis is on us, but then that also, like, with empowerment also comes responsibility, right? And I feel that many people unfortunately don't want to take that responsibility, and that's why they choose to look outside of themselves to transform their lives, or do go through any kind of healing, etc. And what I want to do today in this live is, or I hope to do today in today's live, is to show you at least some examples of how you are really able to and have the power to transform your life if you choose to do so. So I had said to you to grab the pen and paper. So I'm hoping that by now you guys have got your pens and papers with you. So what I want you to do with that pen and paper, on the paper that you have, I want you to make 3 columns. The first column is mom, the second is dad, and the third is myself. Or whatever, if it is mom and myself, or dad and myself, whatever, your parents, or if it's one parent, then parent and you. But those are the columns that I want you to make on that paper. And then once you're done with those columns, I want you to write down for all 3 of you, your parents as well as yourself, physical ailments or diseases that, like, your mom suffered from, your dad suffered from, and then you. I don't want you to write like all of them or like as many as possible. Just write top 3, whatever comes to your mind quickly. And it doesn't have to be like something like cancer or diabetes. It can even be things like used to suffer from headaches frequently, or used to suffer from cold and flu frequently, things like that. But just quickly write 3 physical conditions, physical ailments that each of your parents suffer from and you suffer from, like top 3 that you can think of. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that, and then we'll go on further. And I hope as many as you are actually doing this with us, because that is the whole point of this live, that I want you to be interacting with me and doing things along with me. So once you are done writing those physical ailments or diseases, find if there is any commonality, like one of your parents or both of your parents suffered from something and now you suffer from something, or at least you have starting symptoms of it or something like that. And I would like you to share in the comments, as a comment, name of just one of the conditions which are common between either both of your parents or one of your parents and yourself. I would like to see comments come up really quickly, So yeah, share with me one physical ailment or a disease or a health problem that one of your parents suffers from, and you have that also, what we call, oh, it's genetic, or oh, it's hereditary. I want you to share with me what that is. Come on. Okay, there are comments starting to come up. I thought no one was commenting. Okay, so back pain, hair loss, heart troubles. Okay. Anybody else wants to share anything? Okay, autoimmune, Leanne. So I think you would have resonated with the story that I shared of myself. Of course, I know autoimmunes are of different types. Okay, so you guys can keep sharing your the health conditions, but I will continue on. So when we have this, the concept that we are sold really is that the genetics cause this heredity of health conditions. Like if your mom has it, it's a good chance that you will have it, or dad, or both, whatever. And that is what the medical establishment, at least till today, has told us, that you're just genetically more prone to have that because that has been transferred to you from your parents' genes. And as much as disease are hereditary, it turns out that the genetics are not really hereditary, but what we do learn or get or imbibe from our parents are actually the thought patterns that cause these diseases. Because what a disease or physical ailment is a physical manifestation or manifestation of emotional, energetic imbalances on the physical plane. It's actually the end result of what has been going on up here and here, like in your mind and in your heart for years together. Eventually that shows up as some kind of physical ailment or health problem eventually. But that is the effect, it's not the cause. And we learn from our parents, generations to generations, the cause, which is thinking about certain things in certain ways, or having certain beliefs about lives, etc. Now, for example, what do I mean by that? So I'm going to take one example from what you have shared, and then I'll share one example of a disease which is unfortunately very common these days. So somebody shared that their parent and themselves, they have hair loss. So hair loss is, this is actually even well known, that hair loss is caused by stress. People who are really stressed, the nerves and the muscles of your scalp get so tense that the blood supply to your hair roots decreases, and that is why your hair starts falling off. Now this is actually a well established truth. Now what happens is, you haven't really inherited the hair loss in itself from your parent, but what you have inherited is the anxiety and the stressful nature. Because think about it, when we have a child, there's a new child in the family, where does this child learn everything from? How does the child learn to walk? How does the child learn to eat by itself? How does the child learn to speak? It learns by imitation. It is looking at its immediate family or people around it, and it keeps imitating, and one day it masters the skill and it starts doing things on its own, exactly the same way as the parents have been doing. Like we see this in some people, their body posture or their way of walking is exactly the same as one of their parents, or the way we talk is very similar to our parents. That is because we have learned from imitating, looking at the person. Now if we are imitating that, then of course, I mean, this is very visually apparent. So that's like, that makes sense. Yeah, of course, I walk around my child, so the child looks at me and it learns. But the child is also observing the way mom reacts to any situation, the way dad reacts to a particular person. And the child is also learning and imitating that from you. So you have done exactly the same thing in your childhood from your parents. So if your parent is somebody who is always anxious and always stressed about things in life, then you have learned to do the same looking at them, because you have cultivated the belief that life is a stressful place to be in, because mom was always stressed. And we don't question those kind of things in that at that age, because we are new in this human existence and we are only learning the ways of being in this existence. And so you just imitate without questioning. And of course, this is not to blame our parents, because our parents were also doing the best that they could at that time. If they could stress less, would they not do it? I mean, anybody wants less stress in their life, right? So they were just doing their best. So we are not sitting here to blame our parents and our immediate family saying, look, you did that to me. It's not that. But what I want you to understand is, it's not the hair loss, it's not the diabetes, it's not the cancer, it's not the autoimmune that you actually inherited from the genetics of your parents. What you did inherit, or what you did learn, or what you did learn to imitate from your parents, is the way to think about people, about situations, about life, what to believe about life, what is possible for you, what is not possible for you, all those kind of things. And then once you have that kind of thought pattern, then it causes a certain reaction in your body which causes you to have that health condition. I hope that makes sense. Like, for example, cancer, the probable cause, and of course I am talking from like, if you know about Louise Hay, and by the way, I would like you to comment that as well. How many of you know about Louise Hay, or you have read her book You Can Heal Your Life, or have, done affirmations, whatever? I would like to hear that from you as well. So Louise Hay gives this what is called the list, which is the probable emotional causes of physical ailments. And this she has compiled from her work, from the years of her work with her clients who used to come to her for counseling, as well as healing as well. And sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, so we were talking about cancer. So according to Louise, and of course according to her, and then I have seen this in my life, because unfortunately I have lost my mom to cancer, and so I happen to know for sure, and in fact my aunt as well, my mom's elder sister, both of them had cancer. And cancer is caused by years of yes, I know the flashing across the screen does happen, guys. I've seen that even in other lives, as well as my own lives. When I watch the recordings, that happens. I'm not sure what that is. I always give myself the technical solution to it, which is probably the internet speed changes and that causes the flash. I don't know. If you believe it's something else, then oh well. Okay, so Leanne, good to know. And yeah, Manjula has listened to some videos, so that's good to know. So the emotional cause of cancer is deep-seated resentment that has been ongoing for years together. If you've held on to something or more than one things that you really resent, but you feel disempowered to do anything about, but at the same time you resent having that in your life, then that is the energy of resentment that causes cancer. And as I said, I have seen this in my mom, I've seen this in my aunt, and when it sort of went parallelly, and that's why I could see actually the reasons while I was studying Heal Your Life. My mom and my aunt were suffering from cancer. So Okay, so Kim, I would really like you to listen to this part then, if that is the case. And yes, Fiona, spirits do play around. So that is what the emotional cause of cancer is. Now, again, the medical establishment would tell us that it is the genetics that we have inherited from our parents, and that is what causes cancer. Like some people, like lots of people in one family have similar diseases. But again, as I said, you have learned to be resentful about things in life from your immediate family, and that is the way of thinking and way of being that you have inherited, which is causing your body to go into that mode of, you know, what we call having cancer. So that is the way actually these things work. Now, there is something that, as I said, I was going to share the science of this with you. So now let me come to the science part. Now, this is all I shared with you from Louise Hay's Helio Life work. Today, and actually not today, for last few decades, in fact, science has confirmed exactly this. Unfortunately, this kind of research does not get publicized because that is not in the best interest of the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the chemical industry. And I was a chemistry researcher, by the way, saying this. So those people wouldn't want us to know this, and that's why this kind of research does not get publicized so much. However, people, you guys who are listening here, I know that you are somebody who have this kind of holistic approach in life, so you probably may know about this. There is a branch of science called epigenetics that has been around for last 3 or 4 decades now. The name epigenetics, the reason why it is named so, the word epi, I think it's a Latin or a Greek word, I'm not sure, but word epi actually, or not the word, the prefix epi means above. And epigenetics was named such because scientists were realizing that there was something above the genetics that actually controls the genetics, and the study of that factor was epigenetics. And so what epigenetics has shown us is exactly what we were previously discussing, that our emotions and our thought patterns do cause certain genetics to switch on and off in our bodies, which decide whether we are going to have certain physical ailment or not. Now, how does that work? The way it works is in our body, like our body is a huge factory and warehouse of chemicals, like billions of chemicals. We are all chemicals, you know. As with, I mean, we know about chemicals, like our digestive system produces bile and gastric juices, and we know all that. We know the mouth produces saliva. We know about those chemicals. So there are chemicals which are called neurotransmitters, which our brain produces. And there are different kinds of neurotransmitters and hormones, of course, that get produced, and there is a specific one or more than one for each kind of emotion that we feel. So for example, you might have heard of cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. Like when a person is, yes, Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer did work very closely, and Wayne Dyer was another one of my favorite teachers that I learned a lot from. So for example, cortisol or adrenaline, you know, we talk about the adrenaline rush. So adrenaline and cortisol are hormones which get released, or neurotransmitters which get released in our brain, through our brain into our blood system when we are stressed. And then there's a hormone called oxytocin, which is a bonding hormone, which is what gets released in a mother's brain when she is nurturing her baby or breastfeeding her baby. So these are the kind of things that, these are the kind of chemicals. This is how the neurotransmitters work. And so when you are feeling certain feelings, like for example, we were talking about resentment or about stress, when you feel that, every time a chemical, that particular chemical gets released from your brain into the whole circulatory system, and it goes into the whole bloodstream of yours, so in your entire body. Now if you keep on thinking thoughts of resentment like over and over again, every single day, every single week, every single month, and for years together, then your cells in your body are literally marinating in the chemical mixture that is released from your brain because of this resentment thought pattern. Now, epigenetics has shown us that when our cells sit in a certain environment, by which it is meant that a certain soup of chemicals around them, depending on that, the DNA in the cell or the genes in the cell, genes is obviously a smaller part of DNA, they literally either turn on or they turn off depending on their chemical environment. And that is why when you, for example, let's continue with the example of cancer, because unfortunately many people are suffering with cancer these days. So when your cells are sitting and marinating in the mixture of chemicals of resentment, then your genes are turning on the genetic code for having the disease cancer. If your chemical environment changes, if you choose to change your thought patterns and your beliefs, and if you choose to not be resentful about life and continue being that way, then your genetics actually does turn off. And that is why we hear so many stories these days about people having remission from cancer. Of course, there are dietary parts to it as well, and that's a whole another topic. If I start talking about that, I'm going to be like talking for literally an hour about that, which is the artificial food-like substances we eat these days, thinking of them as food. We don't eat food these days. We eat food-like substances which are extremely chemically modified. And that is another reason what causes this chemical environment imbalance in our bodies, which again causes our genetics to turn on and off for various physical diseases. So going on a natural, more natural diet, an organic diet, is one part of healing from not just cancer but any kind of disorders. And the other part, the diet part is the physical plane part of it. But the emotional psychological part of it is what we just talked about, is changing the way you think and believe things about what is possible in life and what is not. Now, when you were a child, as I said, you did not question the way your parents were being. You just started imitating them and you started being the way they were. They were doing their best, and they could have given you better if they could, honestly. So as I said, again, the point is not to blame our parents or our immediate family. But now that you are an adult, you actually have a choice and you need to take responsibility for your life. You can't keep blaming, oh, my parents taught me that, so whatever, There's no point in doing that anymore. So take responsibility of your life and start changing your thinking. And you can do that. We actually do have the choice of whether we want to continue thinking the thoughts and feelings that we choose to think. Now, why do I say that? Here comes science again. Science of why am I spacing out on the name of the branch of science? Neuroscience, that's the word I'm looking for. So neuroscience is the science of the brain, the study of the brain. And neuroscience has shown us that, as I said, the brain releases these particular chemicals for each of the emotions that we feel. However, any chemical that is being released, or any combination of chemicals that is being released, that remains in the bloodstream only for 90 seconds. That is 1.5 minutes. Then it gets disintegrated and it goes out of your body through as a waste products, etc., etc. But so what that means is, if you feel angry, naturally you are feeling angry only for the first 90 seconds, because that is when the chemical has been released and you are actually feeling that feeling. However, if you feel angry any more than those 90 seconds, then it is actually a choice that you're making to continue producing those chemicals in your brain and continue feeling that feeling. Like, for example, somebody says to me, "Oh, you're the stupidest person ever. Like, how can you not even realize such a simple thing?" Now that makes me angry. Okay, that was my insult, so that makes me angry. Now that person said that, they went away, I am feeling angry. For the 90 seconds, my chemicals are being released and I feel that emotion. Now, after 90 seconds, the person is gone, the moment is gone, nobody is calling me stupid anymore, but what am I doing? I am choosing to relive that memory, "Oh, he called me stupid," in my mind, and I'm choosing to make those chemicals in my brain and in my body and keep feeling that feeling over and over again. So think about it for a minute. What are you choosing to relive only in your memory? Because all we have is the present moment. The past only exists in our memory. So somebody did this to me. She said that to me. That's now in your memory. And you are actually making that choice of reliving that moment in your mind. And when our bodies don't really understand, like, that is one of the basic principles of manifestation. Yes, Fiona, it's pretty wow, I know that. So that is one of the basic principles of manifestation, that the body does not understand whether the thing is actually happening like on the material plane or whether it's happening in our mind. That is again proven. Like, people have studied the athletes' brain activity, and if they're imagining running their 100-meter sprint or whatever it is, that causes exactly the same bodily and brain reaction as if they were actually running it. So when you're living something in your memory, your body doesn't know that, and the body is reacting exactly the same way as if that person was there standing in front of me calling me stupid again. But that's not the case. So I'm making that choice. So when I tell you, or when anybody tells you that you are making the choice to feel a certain way, don't get offended, because they're telling you the truth. But this is, once again, this is not to blame yourself or criticize yourself. The only point of me sharing this with you is to make you aware that you actually have a choice. Like, if you have the choice to be angry or be resentful over and over again, you also have the choice to not be so, right? You have the choice to let go of that. So that means you have a choice to change your thoughts, change your beliefs, change your body chemistry, and hence reverse the physical ailment condition that has become, like, that has been caused by this chemical imbalance in your body. And that is what epigenetics and teachers, like spiritual teachers like Louise Hay, tell us. We do actually have a choice. The reason why I wanted to share the science part of it is because in our material human existence, we still sometimes feel about the spiritual stuff that it's just stuff, and I don't really know whether I should believe it, because, and it's not wrong, because we live in this material existence, so we seek material proofs and evidences for everything. And science has given us that, because science is a very human and very material pursuit. And thankfully, science has started recognizing and acknowledging and even researching certain spiritual concepts, like the consciousness or the effect of energetics. Or even I shared one article I read only a few days ago, which said that the scientists have actually now proven that the soul goes back to the universe after death. So science is actually doing this kind of research and showing us on the material level the things that spirituality has been telling us for a while, but until now we just had to have faith and believe in it, right? So that was what I wanted to share with you about having the choice to keep continuing thinking certain thoughts or feeling certain feelings. I'm just looking at my points here, by the way. I actually wrote down like dot points because I didn't want to miss any of this juicy stuff to share with you. So what's okay? Okay, so let's do our yes, clearing, yes, clearing your mind of negative thoughts is definitely something that everyone needs to do, I guess, because these days we do live in that kind of a world that insists upon us thinking badly about ourselves. And that's exactly what we're going to do in the next exercise I'm going to tell you to do. So, what I want you to do now is if you have access to a mirror, any small, big, whatever mirror, as long as you can see your face in the mirror, um, hold it in your hand or stand in front of the mirror, or if not, then on your smartphone, turn on your selfie cam so that you can see yourself and look into your own eyes and say to yourself, I love you. Like really, as if you were saying it to a person who you love. Say that, and I'll give you a few minutes for that, and then come back and we'll continue from there. Okay, so now that we're back, I want you guys to comment as to how was that experience? How did that feel? Saying I love you to yourself. Give me your honest answers. How did that feel? I want to see the comments coming up. Come on, I'm waiting. I know there's a bit of a delay on comments on Facebook Live, but okay. Yep, I can see them come up now. More people, please. Okay. If you feel like sharing, then please, by all means, do so. But most of us don't feel very comfortable looking into our own eyes and saying that to ourselves, saying I love you. I mean, that is one of the most discomforting things for most of the people living on this planet today. Saying anything positive to ourselves, giving ourselves compliments, we can't do that. We are really good at doing that with other people. We are really good at saying I love you to our children and to our spouses and to our significant others and our parents and friends and whatnot. But yes, Leanne, exactly, it is hard to say to ourselves. So you might say I love you to 10 different people 10 times a day, but once to yourself, no, because it's very difficult for us to do. And the reason why that is because, as I said, we are programmed, unfortunately, to believe that we are not good enough for our own love, forget any other person's love. And the reason why I wanted you to do that exercise is, once again, become aware of the fact that you don't love yourself. And again, the point is not to criticize yourself, not feel bad, but feel empowered with the awareness, because again, you have a choice. If you choose to, you can start accepting yourself as you are. Yes, accepting compliments from people as well, Jan. If people give us compliments, we tend to downplay ourselves. Oh, it's nothing. Oh, I'm just, whatever. We just give any excuses, but we downplay ourselves. We never say, somebody says, oh, you look gorgeous today. Hardly ever people, or women especially, say thank you so much. Usually women go, oh, it's nothing, or something like that. So I only have last like 10 minutes now. I'm aware of the time as well. Yes, we are all indeed beautiful, Fiona, Unfortunately, most of us don't acknowledge that to ourselves, especially when we look into the mirror. We always start thinking of all the bad things that so called are bad with us. Um, and a very good point to start changing that is affirmations. Now, those of you who know about Louise's work probably know about affirmations, or even otherwise, affirmations, whether you know about Louise or not, affirmations are quite famous. So, affirmations is a good place to start making the change, because that is sort of giving yourself a starting point of like, okay, this is the goal which I want to reach psychologically or emotionally. This is how I want to feel. And when you start saying the affirmations, of course, in the beginning, it feels really weird and really fake and silly. If you say to yourself something like, I have an absolutely wonderful job and I love doing the job, then the first thing you're going to hear from your inner voice is, who are you fooling? Like, you absolutely hate waking up in the morning for that job. And that may be true for you at that particular moment. But the point of the affirmation is you're affirming to feel that way, and hence bring into your life a job that really makes you feel that way, that yes, I love my job. So many people, start doing affirmations and then give up because it starts, feeling to them like I'm doing something fake. I'm fooling myself. That is not the point of affirmations. Affirmations is you telling yourself and the universe how you would like to feel, but you phrase it in a present moment way. And many people I know, I have met and worked with, find it difficult to come up with affirmations that are really, sort of personalized, or they really fit well to your particular situation. So to end today's session, because there is a lot more that I would love to share with you, but I know that I only have an hour. So to end today's session, what I would like to offer those who have watched live, as well as those of you who will watch this as a recording, I'm offering a complimentary 30-minute coaching session to only the viewers of this particular live, to coach you to create affirmations for, depending on your own situation, whatever you feel like you need to work on most and change most in your life. I would love to guide you and coach you through creating those affirmations, and then giving you some tips about how to go about doing that. And that would be a good place, I feel, for you to start transforming your life. So if you want to take advantage of this particular offer, then all you need to do is, I have shared my email address in the title of this live. If you look at the top of the post, send me an email at that email ID, which is Radhika at radiance-holistic.com.au, and in the subject line, just write the word co-creation. That's sort of my password for you guys, so that I know that whenever I see an email with the subject line co-creation, then that's the person who has attended my live, and hence they're eligible for the 30-minute free coaching session, complimentary session. So you need to email me, and the subject line just needs to be co-creation. That's the word, co-creation. And I would love to hear from you. And if you want to know more about what I offer at Radiance Holistic Wellness and how I can support you in your transformation, then I have also shared my website up at the top in the title, which is radiance-holistic.com.au. Go have a look at that. I've also shared, yes, Manjula, co-creation. That's the word that needs to be the subject line for your email. If you want to avail of the 30-minute complimentary coaching session for creating your personalized affirmations. And I also have a Facebook page for Radiance Holistic Wellness, which I've tagged in the title again. So if you want to give it a like, because I do my own lives on my page from Monday to Friday, every weeknight, 7 p.m. Sydney time. And I would love to see you guys and interact with you more after this session. I sincerely hope that you found some value by attending this live, and I will hope to see you in my email inbox. Take care, have a good day or have a good night depending on where you're joining us from, and have a blessed week. And once again, Sarah Watkins of Spiritual Events Directory, thank you so much for this opportunity. Take care.